Yeah, hello students. Today I'm going to explain very in the short form of like relations. Completely in one shot, you can learn entire relations topic. This is the important topic relations. I will do that. So when they're talking about the relation, first you should know about the Cartesian product. So what is the meaning of Cartesian product? Just think about the Cartesian product. When they're talking about Cartesian product, just Cartesian product means take two non-empty sets. Then you take A cross, this is Cartesian product, A comma B, such that I can write A belongs to A, B belongs to B. It gives ordered pair. So set of this gives ordered pair. This is known as Cartesian product. Cartesian product. So here again a number of elements in A cross B also you can write n of A cross B is equal to n of A into n of B. It gives number of elements in A cross B. Suppose if A or B any empty set, suppose either A or B empty set, either A or B is an empty set, then A cross B also an empty set. Remember, either A or B is an empty set, then A cross B also is an empty set. Again, suppose when they are talking about triplet, I can also talk about triplet A cross A. So I can define A, B, C. So I can write such that A, B, C belongs to A. So A, B, C belongs to, this is called triplet. ABC triplet. Correct. This is ordered triplet. In three-dimensional geometry, you can see this ordered triplet x, y, z. Here x comma y. Ordered pair in two-dimensional geometry. Like this here, ordered triplet A cross A. Even you can think the same thing. If I take R cross R system, there is a system of real numbers. R cross R gives, I can consider set of x comma y such that x, y belongs to R. This is two-dimensional. Well, every ordered pair represents a point in the coordinate plane, two-dimensional. R cross R, three-dimensional. I can write x, y, z such that x, y, z belongs to R, where R is a system of real numbers. So here, every triplet represents a point in the three-dimensional geometry, right? Three-dimensional plane, right? In three-dimensional x, y, z. Coordinates of all the points in three-dimensional space. X, Y, Z, two-dimensional space X, Y. Like that we can define this. Now when the saying two ordered pairs are equal, suppose when the saying two ordered pairs equal A comma B equal to 1 comma 2, then I can write A is equal to 1, B is equal to 2. The corresponding elements I can equate. I can equate the corresponding elements. So I can write like this, corresponding elements. Just if I take any example, if I take here, suppose A is equal to, I have taken AB. So C is equal to, I have taken something, this one C or B. So B is equal to, I have taken only one I have taken. What is A cross B here? It gives A1 and a B1, two ordered pairs it will come. Like this A1, B1. Even similarly, I can also find A cross, you can find that. So if you find A cross A, check that A cross A means I will get AA, AB ordered pair, right? And BA, BB it will come like this two-dimensional A cross A. Even I can find A cross I can find here. Even I can try A cross A triplet. So again what I should try here? AA, again A it will come, right? AB, A it will come, right? And BA, A it will come, right? And BB, A it will come, right? Same ordered pair I can also connect with the second element. We will get AA with B and AB with B and BA with B, and I will get BB like this ordered triplets when I have taken A cross A. Like this we can find Cartesian product. This is especially I am discussing about Cartesian product here. Now see, in the case of relations, we can also observe here, when you have discussed about the Cartesian product, in Cartesian would always remember A cross B not equal to B cross B. A cross B not equal to B cross, always remember. It never be equal. When A is equal to B, it will be equal to A cross B to B cross A. If any one of the set is empty set, then it will be equal. Otherwise, A cross B not equal to B cross K. Now you can remember. Here what is the meaning of relation actually? When I am talking about relation, every subset of A cross B is known as a relation. Suppose if R is subset of A cross B are equal, then I can say R is a relation from A to B. Every subset of A cross B. Every subset of A cross B is a relation from A to B. Every subset of A cross B is known as a relation from A to B. Now you can observe here. And I have taken here A is equal to 1, 2, 3. I have taken B is equal to A, B, C. I have taken this one. Suppose R is equal to, I have written 1A, 1C, I have written 2B, like this. So you can see here, if we take A cross B, definitely these are the elements of A cross B. So clearly we know that this is subset of A cross B. Subset of A cross B. Then I can say it is a subset of A cross B here. I can write it is a subset of A cross B. So it is a subset of A cross B. So I can say R is a relation from A to B. So R is a relation from A to B. I can write is a relation from A to B. Here, the R in the relation, the set of first element is known as domain. I can write domain equal to, I can write set of 1, 2. Repetition no need to consider, right? And range is equal to, I can get a set of second elements A, B, C. Domain. In a relation, the set of first elements is known as domain. The set of second elements is known as range. The entire set B is called codomain. The entire set B is called codomain. So I can write here codomain equal to, I can write entire set B. So which is equal to set of A, B, C. You can observe here, always range is subset of codomain. Range is subset of codomain, right? Always range is a subset of codomain. That you can remember. So I told here every subset of A cross B is known as a relation. So what is the number of subsets of A cross B? You can check here. When they are talking about number of subsets of A cross B is equal to number of relations. Number of relations that can be defined from A to B. Number of relations that can be defined from A to B. These two are equal, which is equal to 2 to the power of n of A cross B. This one gives number of subsets of A cross B and also gives number of relations that can be defined from A to B. So 2 power n of A cross B. Here I can discuss like this. This is related to relation, right? Now here I can also discuss about the inverse relation. What is the meaning of the inverse relation? When they are talking about inverse relation, so inverse relation means I can write here, this is the R means it can be done, suppose A to B. R is defined from A to B. R inverse will be defined B to A. R inverse from B to A. I can add R inverse. Suppose this is this one, right? R inverse subset of B cross A, right? B cross A. From this I can, what is R inverse? I can write from this R inverse I can write. You can interchange this one. I can write A1, C1 and I can write B2. So this is R inverse. If I take R inverse, the domain and range will interchange. That means domain of R is equal to range of R inverse. Domain of R equal to range of R inverse. And you can see range of R is equal to domain of R inverse. We both will interchange. That you can observe here. What is R inverse whole inverse? Will be equal to R only. Again, R inverse whole inverse will be equal to R. Like this we can define about the relation here. Even the inverse relation I have defined here. We can define like this. Now I will discuss about the types of relations now. You can observe here. When I am discussing about the types of relations. So here, first one. Like you can consider A be a set. Let A be a set. When you have taken A cross A, suppose if R is equal to A cross A, then R is called universal relation. Universal relation on A. If R equal to A cross A, then R is called universal relation on A. A cross, entire A cross you have taken. If this is equal to A cross A, then R is called universal relation on A. If R is equal to, so empty set. So R is equal to empty set, which is subset of A cross A, right? Because empty set is subset of any set, or empty set is a subset of A cross A. Correct. In this case, then I can say R is called, when R is an empty set, then R is called void relation or empty relation. R is called an empty relation or void relation. Or void relation. They will say empty relation or void relation. Or the null relation, null set. So this is a subset of A cross A. And now universal relation and void relation together are called trivial relations. Remember, universal relation, this universal relation and void relation together are called trivial relations. Remember, trivial. So universal and void relations, these two together are called trivial relations. These two are universal and void relations are called trivial relations. That you can remember. If for example you have taken A is equal to, you have taken 1, 2, 3. So what can I write here? Suppose you take 1, 2, 3. A cross A is equal to, I can write 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. I can write 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3 and 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3. Correct. This is A cross A. So this A cross is known as universal relation. Here empty set is subset of A cross A, always empty relation. Both we can define on a set A. On a set I can define. Now here I can also define identity relation. What is the meaning of identity relation? Think about identity relation. Here the identity relation I can define on a set A. Identity relation I can define a set. Let A be a set. You can let A be a set. Here also you can let A be a set. A be a set. Set of A comma A such that A belongs to A. I can let A comma A such that A belongs to A is called identity relation. This is called identity relation. Identity relation on A. It is denoted by IA. IA which is equal to, IA is equal, I can write 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3 I can write. So this is identity relation. 1, 1, set of 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. It is known as identity relation, denoted by IA. A to A. A be a set. Set of A comma ordered by A comma A such that A belongs to A is called identity relation on A, denoted by A is equal to 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Correct. Now I will discuss about reflexive relation. Now I will discuss about the reflexive. What is the meaning of reflexive? You can see they are talking about the reflexive. Reflexive means let A be again let A be a set. Let A be a non-empty set. Let A be a non-empty set. Let A be a non-empty set. You can take let A be a non-empty set. You can consider let A be a non-empty set. A relation R and a set A. A relation R and a set A is said to be reflexive. Said to be a reflexive if every element of A is related to itself. If every element of A is related to itself. A relation R and a set A is said to be reflexive if every element of A is related to itself. Every element of A is related to itself. That means when it is reflexive, I can write A comma A belongs to R for all A belongs to A. When it is reflexive, A comma A belongs to R for all A belongs to A. This is the so not reflexive. If it is not reflexive means I can write, you can see here. When it is not reflexive. So A belongs to A. A belongs to A such that A comma A doesn't belongs to A, then not reflexive. For example, when I have taken A is equal to 1, 2, 3. 3 elements are there. So reflexive means definitely the R is having. So when I have reflexive, R should have 1 1 2 2 3 3. Now in this case you see 1 1 2 2 AA belongs for every element of A. To then it is reflexive. Even I can also, this is R1, R2 I can write 1 1 2 2 2 3 and 3 3. Even this is also reflexive. It's a reflexive. Suppose you take for every A belongs to A comma doesn't belongs to A. For example, you take no. See here, I have taken R3. So R3 is equal to, I can write 1 1 and 2 2 and 2 3 and 3 2. It's a relation, but here it is not reflexive. 3 2 not reflexive. The reason why it is not reflexive, since 3 3 is not there. Since 3 comma 3 doesn't belongs to R. If it belongs, it is reflexive. It doesn't belongs to R, so it is not reflexive. Reflexive means for every element of A comma belongs to R. This rule, this should be there. So 3 elements are there. 3 ordered base should be 1 1 2 2 3. This should be there for reflexive. If any one of that is missing, that is not reflexive. Then I have doubt about identity relation. Every identity relation is reflexive. But every reflexive need not be identity relation. Remember, every identity relation is reflexive on the set A. But every reflexive relation need not be an identity relation. That is most important point you remember. Here I will give one more example I can discuss. For example, when they are talking about take xy real numbers, x or y. X or y they are given. X or y means they define. X or they are defined as x or y means if and only if x or y, if and only if x minus y plus root 2 is an irrational number. Is an irrational number. Is an irrational number. So where x and y are real numbers. Where x and y are real numbers. What about this relation? Is it reflexive or not? You can check that whether it is reflexive or not. They are given x or if and only if x minus y plus root 2 is an irrational number. So this result is an irrational number. Is an irrational if and only if. Where x and y are real numbers. You can check that. When they are talking about reflexive. So I want x or x. So think about when they are talking about x or x. When they are talking about x or x, you can write what is x or x. If you take x or x will be, so if x or x means you will get a double implies x or x means x minus x plus root 2, right? So it's an irrational number. Is an irrational number. Correct, is an irrational number, right? So I have taken x or x is a root 2 is an irrational number. So correct, since it's an irrational number, x or x I have taken, it is an irrational number, right? X or x, it's an irrational number. That means it's a reflexive. So here when x y are real numbers, then x or y if and only if x minus y plus root 2 is an irrational number. Here R is reflexive clearly. Because when I have taken x or x, I got root 2 is an irrational number. Here this is clearly, it's a reflexive. It satisfies reflexive property. Now I will discuss about symmetric. You can see what is the meaning of symmetric. Relation R, I can write relation R on set A is said to be relation R and a relation R. You can write here a relation. Correct. They are talking about symmetric relation R on a set A. On a set A is said to be symmetric if and only if A comma B belongs to R, then B comma A belongs to R, right? If A comma B belongs to R, then B comma A belongs to R. A relation R in a set A is said to be symmetric. If and only if AB belongs to R, then BA belongs to R. Whenever AB is there, BA should be there, then that is called symmetric relation. That is called symmetric. If AB is there, BA should be there. That is called symmetric relation. Here you can see, for example, A is equal to have given 1, 2, 3. Then R is equal to have taken here. Suppose 1, 2, 2, 1. And I have taken like 2, 2. 3, 3 I have taken. What about this? Is it symmetric? Yes, it is symmetric. 1, 2 is there, 2, 1 is there. Whenever AB is there, BA should be required. So clearly I can say this is symmetric, it follows symmetric, it is symmetric, I can do 2, 2, 3, 3. Here I can say R is symmetric, but not reflexive, right? But not reflexive, right? This is not reflexive. The reason but not reflexive, right? Why it is not reflexive? 1, 1 is not there. 1, 1 is not there. So R is symmetric but not reflexive. But not reflexive. Let it be R1. If I take R2, for example, you take R2. If I take R2, I can take it 1, 2 and 2, 1. I have taken 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. What about this? Yes, it is reflexive and also symmetric. Clearly reflexive and symmetric. It follows reflexive. This is reflexive and symmetric. Here I can say reflexive and symmetric. Reflexive and symmetric. Suppose if we take R3 is equal to only 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. What about yes? These also reflexive and symmetric. These also reflexive and symmetric. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Clearly this is reflexive and symmetric. Reflexive, no doubt in that. Reflexive and symmetric. Here reflexive and symmetric. How doubt? Suppose if we take R4, I have taken this one. You can see here. I have taken only 1, 1, 2, 2. What about this? Is it reflexive? No, 3, 3 is missing. But it is, I can say, it is symmetric. This is symmetric. It is symmetric, not reflexive. Not reflexive, it is symmetric, not reflexive, right? It is symmetric, not reflexive. But if you take only R5, so singleton 3, 3. What about this? I have taken singleton 3, 3. Yes, here when I have taken 3, 3, it is not reflexive, but it is symmetric. It is symmetric. I have taken only it is symmetric. I can consider. So 3, 3. When 3, 3 is there, clearly it is symmetric but not reflexive. But not reflexive. Remember 3, 3 is there. Clearly I can mention here. It is symmetric but not reflexive. But not reflexive. Now even you can discuss about like E is parallel to. So when they are talking about E is parallel to, E is parallel to always symmetric. A is parallel to B, B is parallel to A. It is always symmetric. Even E is equal to, you can also think E is equal to, this also always, these two are always symmetric. Correct? A is equal to B, B is equal to A. It is symmetric always. These two relations are always symmetric. Just remember. Now I will discuss about like symmetric over. Now I will discuss about the transitive property now. Now they are talking about the transitive relation. Let A be any set. Let A be any set. Here you can say here let A be, I can say let A be any set. Now a relation R and set A relation R. A relation R and a set A is said to be transitive. Is said to be transitive. Transitive if A comma B is said to be transitive if AB and BC belongs to R, then A comma C belongs to R. So when they are talking about the transitive, AB and BC should belong to R, then A comma C belongs to R, then it is transitive. The rule you can see, whenever both are there, you should think about A comma C. Another way also I can say R, can I say A comma B and B comma C doesn't belongs to R, then A comma C doesn't belongs to R. If both are there, I want A comma C. If either AB or BC doesn't belong to R, then A comma, you can see both doesn't belong to R, then A comma C is not required. This also comes under transitive. You will remember even for symmetric, if AB is there, we want B comma A. Suppose if AB is not there, I don't want B comma A, obviously it is symmetric. Same you can think about that when I am discussing about transitive. Same, suppose if AB belongs to, then BA comma A should belong to what? In the case of symmetric. Same you can think, suppose AB is not there, then PA comma B comma is not required. Obviously it will be symmetric. Here also same thing. If AB and BC both are there, then think about A comma C should belong to R. If AB and BC doesn't belong to R, then A comma C doesn't belong to R. Then clearly that will be transitive relation. Even E is parallel to. You can think about E is parallel to. So E is equal to. E is congruent to. E is congruent to. These are all. See, E is parallel to. E is congruent to. Is equal to. These three relations are transitive relations. A is parallel to B, B is parallel to C, A is parallel to C. Definitely, there should be transitive relation. A equal to B, B equal to C plus A equal to C equivalent. If you compare congruent, a triangle, if you compare two triangle, one triangle is congruent to another triangle, second triangle congruent to third triangle, definitely first triangle congruent to third triangle, it will be transitive also. It follows all the three get coming. So these three relations always transitive. So you can remember, for example, when I have taken A is equal to, I have taken 1, 2, 3. When I have taken R1 is equal to 1, 1, 2, 2, I have taken 3, 3, I have taken 1, 2. So what about this? Is it reflexive? Yes, it is reflexive. 1, 1, 2, 3 is a reflexive. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3 is reflexive. Is it symmetric? So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2. So 1, 2 is the 2, 1 is required. So then it is not symmetric. Clearly it is reflexive, but it is not symmetric. Is it transitive? See, we have 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 2, 2, 2 is a 1, 2 is a clearly R1 is reflexive and transitive but not symmetric. This is clearly reflexive and transitive but not symmetric. Correct. And so this is not symmetric but reflexive and transitive. What about R2? If I take R2, you can check here. When I written 1, 1, 2, 2, I have written 3, 3. What about this? Is it reflexive? Yes, it is reflexive. Is it transitive? Yes, it is transitive. Is it symmetric? Yes, it is symmetric. Clearly, it is reflexive. So, what are asking for symmetric? If AB is there, B comma A is required. AB is not there, I don't want B comma A. Obviously, this is true. So, R2 is reflexive, symmetric, even transitive. Why it is transitive? If you find AB and BC, then think about A comma C. There is no AB and BC. There is no AB and BC means I don't want A comma C. Correct? I don't want A comma C. Clearly, here R2 is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. For example, if we take R3. So R3 is equal to singleton 1, 1. I have taken what about this? At 1. Is it reflexive? No. 2, 2, 3, 3 is missing. So R3 clearly only symmetric. R3 is symmetric. It is not reflexive since 2, 2, 3, 3 is not there. 2, 2, 3, doesn't belong to R3. So R3 is not reflexive. Is it symmetric? Yes, it is symmetric. 1, 1 is symmetric. Yes, it is symmetric. 1, 1 it is symmetric. No doubt in that. It is symmetric. 1, 1. Is it transitive? Yes, it is transitive. Single ordered pair if we take at any time. When relation is having only one ordered pair, that is always transitive. But 1, 1 is transitive and also symmetric. This is symmetric and also transitive. Suppose if we take R4, R4 is equal to 1, 2. What about this? Think about this. Here I told R3 is symmetric and transitive but not reflexive. But what about R4? But here I told when single ordered pair always transitive, but it is not symmetric. R4 is transitive but not symmetric. Correct. R4 is transitive but not symmetric. That you remember here. R4 is only transitive but not symmetric. R3 single at 1, 1 symmetric and transitive but not reflexive. R4 neither reflexive nor symmetric but transitive. But that is most important concept. Now I will discuss about like anti-symmetric relation now. Now you can see we will discuss about the anti-symmetric relation, important one. Let A be any set. A relation R on the set A is said to be anti-symmetric. A relation relation R on the set A is said to be antisymmetric. Said to be antisymmetric if and only if AB and we can see here the antisymmetric if AB and B comma A belongs to R, both when they are talking antisymmetric, AB and B comma A belongs to R implies A is equal to B. That is the rule. When they are talking about antisymmetric, AB and BA belongs to implies A is equal to B for all AB belongs to A. For all AB belongs to A. For all AB belongs to, this is the rule. AB and BA belongs to implies A is equal to B for all AB belongs to A. This is known as antisymmetric relation. See the antisymmetric relation. Even most important point. AB belongs to R, but B comma A doesn't belongs to R. Even in this case also, still R is antisymmetric. Remember, if AB and BA both belongs to, then A equal to B is antisymmetric. Even though, remember important point, AB belongs to R, but BA doesn't belongs to R. Even still R is antisymmetric. Still R is antisymmetric. That most important you remember here. R is antisymmetric. This point is important. Remember here. Now, can they go to an example here? Suppose again the R is a subset of n cross n. N is set of natural numbers. R is subset of n cross n, where n is set of natural numbers. When you take R is subset of n cross n, when n is set of natural numbers, here if and only if the relation is defined by R is subset n cross n is defined by x divides y. X divides y. Again x divides y. You can think when x divides y, x are y and y are x, automatically you will get x is equal to y, right? X divides y, y divides x. The meaning x are y means x divides y. Y are x, y divides x. When both happen means x is equal to y. Clearly x divides y is antisymmetric relation. Correct. X divides y is an antisymmetric relation. Clearly x divides y is an antisymmetric relation. That you can remember. This is an example, right? Now you can discover equivalence relation. What is equivalence relation? Let A be any set. A relation R on a set A is said to be equivalence relation if it is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. So when they talk about equivalence relation, so they are asking equivalence relation. When they are talking equivalence, it should be reflexive. This should be, when they are talking about that should be reflexive, so it should be reflexive. And second one symmetric. And third one transitive. Correct, transitive. So when the relation is reflexive, symmetric and transitive, then clearly I can say there is an equivalence relation. That is most we remember here. This understood, let A be any set. The relation R and set is said to be equivalence relation if it is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. Remember, like E is parallel to, E is parallel to, is equal to, is congruent to, all three are equivalence relations always. These three are equivalence relations, right? You can remember here. Even every identity relation is an equivalence relation, you remember. Every identity relation is equivalence relation. Every identity relation is an equivalence relation, but every equivalence relation need not be identity relation. That is most important, right? So every identity relation is an equivalence relation, but every equivalence relation need not be an identity relation. That is important point you should remember. Again, when they talk about equivalence relations, here the you can see universal relation is known as largest relation. If R is equal to A cross A, here that is equivalence relation. The largest relation is equivalence relation. How you can remember? The largest relation or the greatest equivalence relation. The greatest equivalence relation is universal relation. Same time, the least equivalence relation is, I can remember here, gives an identity relation. Always remember. The greatest equivalence relation is universal relation. Correct. The least equivalence relation is an identity relation on A. Is an identity relation on A. Remember these two most important points. Now I will explain an example. See, in this problem, given on set A equal 1, 2, 3, 4, R is given ordered pairs 2, 3 and 3, 4, set of ordered pairs 2, 3, 3, 4. They are asking the minimum number of ordered pairs required to be added R to become R should become an equivalence relation. So here the idea is R should be an equivalence relation. What is the minimum number of ordered pairs should be added to the R? First think about reflexive. To make it reflexive, what I should add for this? I should add, you can see, to make it reflexive, I should add 1, 1 and 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 and I can add this one 2, 3, 3, 4. Correct? Now this is, I can consider this is reflexive, right? To make it reflexive, I add 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. This is the first step. Here it will be reflexive. To make it symmetric, correct? Here it is reflexive. So this is reflexive, right? It is reflexive. To make it symmetric, this one, I can add 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, right? 4, 4. And when the 2, 3 is there, I want 3, 2. When 3, 4 is there, I want 4, 3. Correct? This will be now reflexive and symmetric. So to make it symmetric, 2, 3 is a 3, 2. 3, 4 is a 4, 3. So it reflexive and symmetric. Reflexive and symmetric. Correct? Now to make it equivalence means transitive. To get transitive, I have 2, 3, 3, 2. Can check here. Then 2, 3, 3, 4. 2, 3, 3, 4 means I want 2, 4. See here 2, 3, 3, 4. So I want 2, 4 is required. So I should add 2, 4. So for this one, to make it transitive, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 and 2, 3. I have 2, 3 and this one 3, 4 means I can write this one 3, 2, 3, 4 and 4, 3. What I am adding now, since 2, 3, 3, 4 means I want 2, 4. When 2, 4 is there, I want 4, 2 also. 2, 4, 4. Why? Because it should be reflexive, symmetric and transitive. So 2, 4, 4, 2. You can check here all the options you can verify. So now this is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. This relation is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. Clearly this is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. It satisfies all the three. Only reflexive. This is reflexive and symmetric. This will be reflexive, symmetric and transitive. It satisfies all the three. So total you can check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But they are given 2. How many minimum how much you should add? 8 ordered pairs is required. So here to make it this given relation into equivalence relation, minimum number of ordered pairs is required. To add to R will be 8. So 8 ordered pairs is required. That will be your answer for this. 8 minimum number of ordered pairs is required is 8 ordered pairs. Here I will discuss about the composition of relations. Suppose you take a relation R from A to B. You take a relation R from A to this relation R from A to B. And you take relation S from B to C. Take B to C. Then I can discuss about the relation SOR. So the relation SOR, this is SOR. You will get from A to C it comes. When R is relation from A to B, S is a relation from B to C, then SOR is a relation from A to C. SOR is a relation from A to C. How can I define this SOR, this relation? I can think about if A comma C belongs to SOR implies A comma C belongs to SOR, the element A comma C belongs to SOR. I can consider there exists B belongs to B. So there exists B belongs to, I can consider B such that you can see there exists element B belongs to B such that I can write AB belongs to R. I can consider the ordered pair AB belongs to R and BC belongs to S and B comma C belongs to S. To define A comma C belongs to SOR, S of R, this is composite function. S of r, this is A to B. Here S of r, this is S of r is S of r. Correct composition function of S of r. A to C, I can write S of r. B belongs such that belongs to R and BC belongs to S. This should exist. Then I can say this is called composition. I can say here this relation is called the composition of R and S. This relation is called composition of R and S. This relation composition of R and S here. S of R, this one S of R is S of R. Composition relation of, I can say this relation is called composition of R and S. Composition of R and S, I can say composition of R and S. But you remember ROS is not equal to S of R. R of S. R of S is not equal to S of R. This is a relation. R of S is not equal to S of R. These two are not equal. And also remember S of R whole inverse. This is a, remember the S of R whole inverse is equal to R inverse of S inverse. R of S is not equal to S of R, and again S of R whole inverse is equal to R inverse of S inverse. S of R whole inverse is equal to R inverse of S inverse. Remember, this is the property related to composition of relations. See, what is the meaning of congruence modulo m? Let m be any positive integer. You take, let a and b two integers, a comma b belongs to, these are two integers. Suppose if a minus b is divisible by m, if a minus b is divisible by m, then we write a is congruent to b mod m. This is notation of congruency modulo m. This is congruency modulo m. A is congruent to b mod m. If a minus b is divisible by m, a is congruent to b mod m. We express like this. For example, I can also write, you can see here, 15 is congruent to, I can write this one, 5, I can write mod 2. You can verify here what is the difference of these two, 15 minus 5. You can check this, 15 minus 5 is divisible by 2, right? This is 15 minus 5 is 10, divisible by 2. When the difference of this is divisible by 2, this is called congruence modulo m. Even you can check, individually if you divide 15 by 2, remainder you will get 1. Even if you divide 5 with 2, remainder will be 1. Always remember, if I divide this number by 2, remainder will be 1. Even if I divide with 5 with this number, remainder will be 1. That is always possible. That's same you get same remainder. Correct. That means here, if a is divided by m, is all the remainder. If a is divided by m, the remainder you will get same remainder you will get when b is divided by m. So this is the congruence modulo m. Congruence modulo m is always an equivalence relation. Is an equivalence relation. Why? Because a is congruent to a mod any number. Because a minus a will be 0. It's a reflexive. A is congruent to d. It's a reflexive. Correct. Always remember, when a is congruent to b mod m, if I write this one, replace a is congruent to d, this is reflexive. If a is congruent to b mod m, I can write b is congruent to a mod m. This is symmetric. Reflexive, symmetric. Same way, when a is congruent to b mod m and b is congruent to c mod m, no doubt this will get implies a is congruent to c mod m. It is transitive also. It is transitive. Why? Because m divides a minus b, m divides b minus c. When m divides a minus b, m divides b minus c, m divides definitely m divides a minus b plus b minus c. Then you will get m divides a minus c. It is transitive also. So congruence relation is reflexive, symmetric and transitive. So that is the reason congruence modulo m is always an equivalence relation. It is always an equivalence relation. Now I am going to give a list of most important formulae. Don't miss this. Don't miss this most important formulae related to reflexive, symmetric and transitive relations. Now see here, this is the most important formula here. Let A be a finite set and number of elements in A is equal to n. Then this is everybody knows about this. Number of elements in A cross is n square, n into n. Number of relations from A to A is nothing but number of subsets of A cross A. 2 power n into n, 2 power n square. Now number of reflexive relations from A to A, 2 power n square minus n, 2 power of n square minus n. Number of symmetric relations, only symmetric relations from A to A, 2 power n into n plus 1 by 2 gives number of symmetric relations we can define from A to A. Number of relations from A to A which are not symmetric. So relations from A to A which are not symmetric, difference of this you can write 2 power n square minus 2 power n into n plus 1 by 2. So 2 power n square, this is total number of relations. From that you remove which are symmetric, you remove. From total number of relations you remove symmetric, then you will get which are not symmetric. Next, number of relations from A to A, both reflexive and symmetric. This will be 2 power n into n minus 1 by 2 gives number of relations both symmetric and reflexive. Both you will get 2 power n into n minus 1 by 2. Coming to number of relations from A to A which are symmetric but not reflexive. Which are symmetric not reflexive will be symmetric but not reflexive will be 2 power n into n plus 1 by 2. I have taken which are symmetric. 2 power n into n plus 1 by 2. From that remove reflexive relations. They are asking here the relations which are symmetric but not reflexive. 2 power n into n plus 1 by 2 minus 2 power n square minus n. Next, number of attributes common to A cross B and B cross C will be n square. Whenever n is the number of attributes common to A cross B. So I can write A cross B, I can consider. Suppose when I am talking A cross B, B cross A. Suppose n elements are common here. You remember what is A cross B is B cross A means you remember here n of A intersection B is equal to n. Since whenever A cross B, A intersection is having n elements common. When A intersection is having n elements common, then A cross B intersection B cross C should be n square elements will be common. Now some more important facts of relations I will discuss. We can see that the most important points again related to equivalence relation. The intersection of two equivalence relations and a set is an equivalence relation. Suppose if R1 and R2 two equivalence relations, R1 intersection R2 also is an equivalence relation. Inverse of an equivalence relation, it will be equivalence relation. If we take R is an equivalence relation, R inverse also is an equivalence relation. Next, what about union? Suppose you take R1 and R2 two equivalence relations, then R1 union R2 is not necessary when equivalence relation. If we take union, the union of two equivalence relations and a set is not necessarily an equivalence relation. If we take R1 and R2 two equivalence relations, R1 union R2 is not necessarily an equivalence, but R1 intersection R2 equivalence. Next, the identity relation. We know identity relation, we define that. Identity relation, set of A comma S such that A belongs to A. Identity relation. A non-empty set is always an equivalence relation. Identity is always an equivalence relation. Even the identity relation on a set is always anti-symmetric. So the identity relation on a set which is non-empty is always anti-symmetric relation. Now see here, the universal relation on a non-empty set is always equivalence relation. Why? Because universal relation means, suppose if R is a relation, if R is a subset of A cross E, if R is equal to A cross E, then R is equal to universal relation. That is always equivalence relation. Now the number of equivalence relations on a finite set A is equal to number of partitions of A. What does it mean here? See, number of equivalence relations equal to number of partitions of A. What is the meaning of partitions of A? What is the meaning of partitions of A? So I am talking about, so what is the meaning of partitions of A? So A is a finite set. What is the partitions of A means? Let A be any set, you can consider. Let A be any set. Let you can consider that I am talking about number of partitions of that. Let A be a finite set. You can consider let A be a finite set. Let A be a finite set. Then you can divide this one. Suppose B1, B2. Let B1, B2 and so on Bn are non-empty subsets of A. Let A be a finite set. Let B1 B2 so Bn. I have taken this one. Or non-empty subsets of A. I have taken non-empty subsets of A such that you should follow such that B1 union B2 union and so on union Bn, which is equal to S. So not S, A, because the given set is A. A, and I can write Bi intersection Bj, which is equal to empty set for I not equal to J. The intersection should be empty set. So that means each two should be disjoint. Every two should be disjoint. Which will these two should be disjoint. I am saying non-empty subsets of A such that union of all these sets should be equal to A. So intersection of any two should be empty set, disjoint. Then I can say, so if it satisfies this, then I can write then P is equal to set of B1, B2 and so on Bn. I can say this set P is partition. I can say is called a partition of A. Is called partition of A. Is called partition of A. So when they are saying partition of A, you take, hence I have taken subsets, non-empty subsets of A. Union of those two should give A. And you take any two should be disjoint. Then I can say this B1, B2 and so Bn is called partition of A. For example, you take like A is equal to, I have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have taken one set. Why A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can observe here. Just I have taken A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, I have taken A is equal to set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can example I have taken A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have taken this. When I have taken A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I can split this. So B1 is equal to 1, 6 and B2 is equal to, set B2 is equal to 2, 3. I can consider set B3 is equal to, you can say I can consider 4, 5. I have taken C B1 1, 6, B2 2, 3, B3 4, 5. You take union of B1, you can see here I can consider B1 union, B2 union, B3 is equal to A. You can check B1 intersection B2, empty set. You can see B2 intersection B3, empty set, and B3 intersection B1 is empty set, right? These are all empty set, right? You can observe these are all empty set, right? When I have taken these are all empty set, that means I can consider the partition P. So the partition P is equal to set of B1, B2, B3. So this is partition of A. Set of B1, B2, B3 is the partition of A. Set of P is equal to set of B1, B2, B3 is the partition of A. Like this I can define the partition. So with this I have completed the entire topic of relations in one shot. It's very useful for any entrance exam. I covered all the details of in this. So the next video I will do the problems related to important models and everything I will do that. So if you like this, you can share it with your friends. Even you can subscribe this to get more videos from my channel. Thank you.